Today is day one, round one of chemo for breast cancer. I was just chatting to Mum about recalling the moment that I found out that I had a tumour. So I guess it was a Saturday night. I was lying on this couch and I just by chance was lying on the side. I felt the lump and I straight away wanted to call Mum, but it was quite late at night. First thing the following morning I called Mum. She was about to go to Mass and she just said, "Oh, Kelly, don't worry about it. It's probably nothing, but you know, are you seeing the doctor?" And I did. I went and saw my GP that day. And then on the Monday, I went and got a mammogram and an ultrasound done. And it kind of was in my mind that it wasn't much. The ultrasound, however, found that I had a lymph node that was also inflamed and another lump. And I think when I saw that the lymph node was inflamed, I was a little bit concerned, a bit emotional, but still wasn't really thinking it was anything. I booked in that afternoon to go to my GP the following morning. So first thing on the Tuesday morning, I was at my GP. And I get emotional thinking about it. My doctor, who is this beautiful, beautiful young female GP, she's a really great doctor, she looked really sad and I got really worried. I thought
this is not like her.
Yeah. And I didn't realise that was, I've got bad news for you folks.
Not a very good look for a doctor.
No, it wasn't. And so she responded and she said, "How was your day?" And I was like, "Great." And in my mind I was thinking, it's going to be an annoying little surgery. They're just going to cut this lump out and I'll be fine. It's not cancer. I wasn't thinking it. And she looked at me and she said, "Unfortunately," and it felt like the longest pause, and I think I just burst into tears. And I'm crying now because I haven't slept, not because I'm sad, because I'm actually quite okay, but I'm tired. Tired, lack of sleep makes me cry. She said, "Unfortunately, it looks like you have a tumour and it's highly suspicious of cancer." And I learned very quickly that there's a lot of different gradings, a lot of different systems with cancer they talk about, which I didn't know about.
Yes.
And so they give you post-mammogram a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being 100% malignant, 4 being highly suspicious of cancer or highly suspicious of it being cancer. So I was in shock and I called my mum. So yes, I guess I wanted to ask Mum about what she recalls, because I think you said that was the first thing you really remember was that call when I was with my doctor.
Yes, I was away with my grandson, your nephew, and I was actually outside McDonald's when Kelly first called and went to the car and waited and listened patiently for the doctor to talk to us. And I was shocked because there's no breast cancer in my family. Kelly's only young, so you really don't want your daughter to end up being unwell.
Oh no. Don't make me cry. I think you have to stay strong.
Yeah. So all we can do is hope for the best and take one day at a time.
How did you react post that phone call? What happened that day? Because I had to go off to actually I decided to work from home that day and I couldn't work. I think I was quite a mess afterwards because I wasn't, you don't know what to do. So how did you cope?
Well, I had a 6-year-old with me, so I had to. He's very chatty, so I just had to stay positive. I had a 2-hour drive to get back home from where I was.
That's right. You'd been visiting Armidale yourself
in Armidale.
Yeah. So you had 2 hours drive back to Tenterfield.
Yes.
With and Dad would have been waiting at home.
We were all kind of aware of the situation that Kelly was in, but I just think we're all hoping for the best. They would just be cysts. I've heard of women having cysts and they can just sometimes you don't have to do anything with them. So I was just hoping that that's what it would be, but then the worst outcome would have been, unfortunately, what Kelly's got, the situation with cancer. So but we just have to stay positive.
Yeah, and I think we have been. I think the initial shock was pretty bad for me. I think after that day I called, you texted Melissa, I think I called you back afterwards. I texted my best girlfriend who lives in Sydney and said to her, can we chat? I need to talk to you. And she was always great. She always makes me laugh. She's a very positive person. We've known each other since birth, so we're sisters from another Mrs. and Mr. But yeah, so she was really positive throughout it. My sister reacted by getting angry. That's how she copes. She swears a lot. I don't think Dad's rapped too much. No, he's we were worried about him.
Yeah, he always likes to try and fix things. Unfortunately, there's something he can't. So
this is true.
Yeah, he's upset, but he's just stepping back a little bit, and worried. Kelly gets on very well for father, so at the moment it's my job to help both.
Yeah. I asked just for Mum to come down. I had offers from friends from Brisbane, from my best girlfriend from Sydney. I've had lots of love and support from my very good friends who live in London. My best girlfriend in London has been awesome, as she always is as well. So it was an anxious few weeks post that.
Yes.
Because I had to go.
It took a long time before we knew for sure.
Had to go in for a biopsy. They decided to do a biopsy on all 3 areas. So on the main tumour, they went in 3 times. The first time, it was a core biopsy, so they basically put some anaesthetic, put a little slit, go in with something that sounds like an ear-piercing gun or a cattle-piercing gun. It's a very loud noise. They stick it in, it brings out a bit of your flesh. The first one, he said, I didn't get a good enough one. So you have to do 3 times in the main lump, 2 in the other one, which is not cancerous, it's a fibroadenoma, and then 1 under the arm, which they don't use anaesthetic for, and it's called a fine needle aspiration, an FNA, and that's for the lymph node. They could pretty much tell me that the medical scientist came up and she said pretty much straight away that the lymph node looked good, and I don't know how you can tell from the smear of blood on 2 platelets, on 2 glass plates, or not platelets, on 2 glass plates that you've got damage, but that it was fine.
So much experience of that so often.
Yeah.
So obviously know what they're looking for.
Yeah, amazing.
Your sister was horrified when I told her it was like having your ear pierced. I've never had my ears pierced, but
it's a loud jolt, and it's probably much louder. But that's the only thing I can think of. It's a thing that goes in, goes out. You do have anaesthetic, but that only stops the pain of them cutting through your skin. Sorry, too much information, but it is painful. And I guess if you really want to know what it's like, what's the experience like, this is what the experience is like from my perspective, I guess. So post the biopsy, I had to wait another week to go back and get the results. I'm going to the Alfred Hospital here in Melbourne, and the breast cleanser on Tuesday, so it was a wait until the following Tuesday. By that time I had a lot of anxiety. I was highly distracted at work. I told a couple of my bosses and a couple of my colleagues what was going on for a bit of support, and I had 1 anxiety attack on the way to work and had to go home. I already when I'm stressed, do suffer from anxiety quite badly, but I have been really good. I've been really positive. I've got a great job. I've been focusing on my health, so I think I'm in the best place to fight this. I have to count myself lucky I've only got one lump. It hasn't spread. I'm kind of thinking it's just another life experience.
Friends of mine said that to me. She'll look back, it'll just be a blimp on the road.
But Mum told me a beautiful story years ago, and it always stuck with me. It was from my nephew, and I always think, out of the mouth of babes. He was, say, 4?
Yeah, about probably 4. It wouldn't have been 5, so maybe just after being 4. And he had to go and have grommets put in his ears. And so we went to hospital. It was very traumatic, only being 4 with Mum and Grandma both there to keep an eye on him. And he must have been put out to sleep, and then the grommets would have gone in when he was asleep.
Yeah.
And
then after that he had an icy pulse, was it?
He sat up, then, to de-stress a little 4-year-old. So he's sitting up in bed after all this happened, and they gave him a lemonade icy pole.
That was pretty exciting for him.
So we thought that was pretty good. So that kind of
Did you have 2?
Yeah, he might have had a second one. I think he had one, and then he wanted another one, so I think they let him have a second one. So that cheered him up no end. And so you can tell the bit when he was going home.
Well, the bit that really stuck with me is that Mum said that he was in the car, and quite spontaneously he said, "I've had a lovely day today."
Yes. He'd been to hospital, and then said he put him to sleep, woke him up, he had the icy pulse, so he'd had a lovely day that day.
So I think that positivity is what I keep in mind, and I've been saying that to my colleagues at work. I said, you know what? I said, I get to have my mum come visit me. She's never visited me and stayed with me. She's visited me in Melbourne but hasn't stayed with me. So I get some one-on-one time just with Mum. I think last time you were with Dad, last time you visited. And that's what I'm holding on to. I'm holding on that I'm going to be like my nephew and say, you know what, this is just another experience, and
it's going to be a good day.
And it's going to be a good day today.